And do you think your mental health is going to miraculously be much better in Indiana that allows you to hold down stable employment?
Well, mental health is kind of a journey. It's not something that just fixes itself overnight. I've had 6 years of therapy, and though I'm not sure that I'll continue with the talk therapy at this point, I'm still going to continue with my medication. What I would like to say is that by this point, I have gained a better understanding of my condition, a better understanding of my triggers, and a better ability to use healthier coping skills, and to recognize different situations to where maybe I need to step away from, in order to, maintain that sense of, not being so panicky, not being so flighty. For example, I don't go into large crowds very much anymore because I know I'm going to get overstimulated. I'm going to get overwhelmed. Um, and I'm 21 months sober. I haven't drank. So that was a major improvement as well, to stop the drinking and then get medication. So I know my mental health isn't, I mean, it took 6 years to get me to this point, and I've maintained the sobriety for so long and I'm still taking the medication. I'm actually very proud of the progress that I've made so far. And I do believe that if put into the right type of environment where I can have the support of family and, just be a little bit more comfortable with having a stable living environment, then I can provide, good work to be able to support me and my family, contribute to society. Like, I'm not completely to the point where I need to be filing for Social Security disability, and I would like to get to work now.
You said you're not to the point of filing for Social Security disability. So you are able to work, correct?
That's what I'm doing at the moment, yeah.
But over the last year and a half, you've not had stable income.
Not consistently, no. There was a major shift. I felt very held back by having to stay in Tennessee. I didn't feel like I had a lot of family or friends to support. Felt very kind of closed off. And then, even though I'm not proud of losing the apartments, since I started filing this paperwork to see if Indiana could be the potential future for my daughters and I, there has been a shift, especially with the caretaking. I mean, that's my grandmother. That's something that I would be honored to be able to do for her.
But my question was that you're not to the point of needing to file for Social Security disability. So your mental health is not to the point that it prevents you from working. Is that correct?
I would say that I haven't been steadily employed, so I feel like that kind of speaks that the mental health was clearly contributing to some bit on whether or not I was holding a job or not.
Do you have a degree?
I do, in graphic design.
Have you ever tried to work with and utilize your degree?
Yes, through several aspects. With graphic design in 2023, we were working with Photoshop, basic Adobe products. Now when I got into the market in that field, that's kind of when Vistaprint and, a lot of pre-laid out stuff was already available. So people were going to that option rather than paying somebody $75 for a design charge. The other part of my degree is in business, and I have been able to use that in several different fronts. I was able to use it when I applied to be a veteran service officer here for Cheatham County. And unfortunately, Montgomery County did not want me because I was not a veteran. I was also able to use the business degree when I have a job at Colby's Army, doing various filings for them and their grant.
When was the last time you worked at Colby's Army?
Well, it's been a few years.
Did you work there at all in 2024?
No.
In 2023?
I don't remember the date that the grant ended my employment.
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
Have you ever applied for unemployment?
No, I had not. My understanding was that I wouldn't qualify.
Can I pass you something? Would you take a look at this document and tell me if you recognize this, Ms. Brown?
Okay. What specifically are you wanting me to look at?
Just this document in general. Do you recognize this document?
Not from memory, but I'm reading the title here, so I'm assuming it was the answers to interrogatories.
And if you flip to the very last page, is there a certificate of service that says this was from July 12th of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. So is this your discovery responses?
Looks to be that way.
Somehow the page numbers are not on what I received back. But if you will look at...
Okay, actually, I see it here.
Interrogatory number 14.
Yeah, where it looks like I did apply for unemployment, but cease to pursue because apply for families first, but cease to pursue. Okay, so these were back in 24.
So in 2024, you did apply for unemployment, correct?
It does looks like I applied for it. I know I never received it.
Does your discovery responses indicate that you applied but ceased to pursue?
It looks that way.
Did you submit sworn discovery responses that also state that you've applied for families first but ceased to pursue?
Yeah, the families first was something that I had ended up deciding was not going to work for my family and I, because my understanding is that it's more like a loan to where they will. I kept hearing from caseworkers and everybody that they would give you a payment, but then they would turn around and take it out of your child support. And that just sounded like kicking the can down the road. I didn't understand why I would do that.
Okay. So in 2024, you applied for unemployment. So you weren't working at a point in 2024, correct?
Correct. So this is.
And you chose not to pursue opportunities that could help you support your family, correct?
Well, if this is right before I gained employment, then.
When did you gain employment?
I gained employment at Firehouse. In August or September, so right after this.
Can you go back to the other set of documents that I gave you and look at page 3? Where it talks about your Firehouse subs employment.
Okay, yeah. So this says. Oh, okay. So this was in April. So I was already working at Firehouse before this was filed.
So you worked at Firehouse subs. You said April 2024 through April 2026. Is that correct?
That looks like what I submitted.
I'm sorry, April 2024 through August 2024. And then in August 2024, you began working at Uber Eats.
Okay, it looks like what I wrote.
Okay. And I want to make her 2 discovery responses and a collective exhibit.
All right.
If we can pass
those the ones in her.
Yes. Pass those copies out.
I'll sure you just hand that to the.
So, Ms. Brown, we've talked a lot about your employment or lack thereof over the last year and a half.
Hmm.
You signed a lease to move in with your grandmother.
Mhm.
And you moved in, you said June 3rd of this year?
Yes.
How old is your grandmother?
She just turned 81.
81. Okay. And you said there's some memory issues.
A couple.
Okay. And is this the type of memory issues that are going to progressively get worse?
I'm going to need to speak with her doctors about that. I don't want to say something and then be wrong.
But it's to the point that she needs a living caretaker?
Yes, it's also in addition to her eyesight as well. It's hard for her to see around the kitchen, drive herself.
Do you think that you would have sufficient time to care for the children full time while caring for another individual as your full time employment?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned to the court that when you moved back to Indiana, you've been going back and forth week to week. Is that correct?
Yeah, every Friday I've been driving down here to the Cheatham County Sheriff's Office to pick up the girls or drop them off.
But that was after you left the children with Mr. Brown for 3.5 weeks before you started exercising time with them in Indiana, correct?
Yes. Mr. Brown had actually, I had reached out to him requesting a Zoom call with the girls, and I had received a response back, and he's like, well, you never gave me any kind of notification that you were leaving. And I'd asked him, I was like, what do you mean? I thought you were served on the 21st. And his response was that he was not going to help me with the motion.
21st of what month?
I would have to check.
What month did you file your petition?
Would have been June. No, I filed in May. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to make sure we're on the same timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So you filed your petition and immediately moved to Indiana.
I filed the petition and I had called the courthouse the next day, and I was told that it had been sent over to the sheriff's.
I'm going to object to the answer at this point. That's not the question that was asked, and we're also veering into hearsay.
Sustain the objection. Just answer the question that you're asked, please.
So immediately after filing the petition, you moved to Indiana.
I drove up that night and I called the next morning to see if they had, if it had gone through. I had received the impression that the order was signed, and that we had a
Can you
court
provide
date.
a yes or no answer to my question before you give an explanation? Immediately after filing the petition, you moved to Indiana.
No. There is a little bit of time there. The lease doesn't start until the 3rd, so it wasn't until a couple of days before we came to court that I moved in with my grandma officially.
Immediately after filing the petition, did you drive to Indiana?
Yes.
Did you stay with family in Indiana?
Yes.
Did you take the children with you?
No.
They stayed with Mr. Brown, correct?
Yes.
From the day school got out?
It was, I believe it was the day school got out.
Okay. And then did you see them when you were in Tennessee for court on June 4th?
I thought we had court June 5th.
June 5th. Did you see them in Tennessee on June 4th?
Yes. When I got down to Tennessee, I checked with the courthouse, and that's when I became aware that my order had been denied. And so was the request that they had go with Mr. Brown. So when I became aware of that, I contacted Mr. Brown in order to exercise a couple of days of parenting time.
And then after court, did you leave the children with Mr. Brown and go back to Indiana?
Yeah, I believe they stayed with Mr. Brown that week.
Okay. So would June 12th be around the first time you started exercising parenting time with the children in Indiana? Would it be the week after court?
Yeah.
Okay. So between school getting out and the week after the May 5th court date was the first time you took the children to Indiana with you since you filed the petition?
Yeah.
The text message that you showed us earlier about asking Mr. Brown for the medication, That was on Saturday, June 13th, after you had taken the children back to Indiana. So you had moved to Indiana at this point, and you were taking the children several states away, correct?
Mhm.
And you didn't check to see if necessary medication was packed prior to leaving the state with the children?
We were, I'm not sure quite how far down the road we were. No, usually with the exchanges, we don't talk a ton. A lot of times I will hand the medication to Mr. Brown. Sometimes he just hands it to the girls or he puts it in their backpack, and that's how I get the medication. So when I had texted him, I had assumed that he would have brought the medication. It's not something that I have been very excited to bring up at exchanges because I'm not trying to argue in front of our daughters. So I communicated, please bring the medication. The medication was not provided.
So you asked him ahead of time to bring the medication, but you didn't look to see if he packed it.
No, I did not.
Let's talk about this medication. When was Clara first prescribed this medication?
It's been about a year.
Okay. Was this supposed to be the only solution, or was she supposed to take additional appointments or tests or see anyone else?
No, she had initially she was going to be on it. I don't remember if there was an exact determinate amount of time that she was going to be on it. I just knew that the doctor wanted her to be on it for at least multiple months to see if there was any kind of growth. She was given a referral to Vanderbilt, and I believe that one had lapsed. I had spoken to Mr. Brown about that. I don't recall ever getting any kind of a response, and I'm not sure if that's why I didn't schedule or what, but I ended up having to call the pediatrician again to get another referral. And again, that was right before the lease. And we can go ahead and get that scheduled if we want to do it here, or if the girls end up coming up to Indiana with me, I can get that scheduled up there.
So the medication, she's supposed to take the medication, but get a referral and see a specialist over this issue.
Uh-huh.
And you've still not taken her to see that specialist, correct?
Neither of us have taken her to see the specialist.
But you have not taken her to see the specialist, yes or no?
No.
Has she lost any weight?
It's not that she has lost weight. It's that she's not gaining at a very fast rate.
Have you taken her back to the pediatrician in the last 6 months to discuss the lack of weight gain?
Yeah, that was, I don't recall her exact appointment date, but that's when we got I had them put the referral back out for Vanderbilt. I would have to check their records to get those exact dates.
You mentioned some hair tangling and some teeth not being brushed. Let's talk about the hair tangling first. Have you taken any photographs or presented any proof today of that?
I hadn't. I really wished I had, though.
But the not brushing their teeth for an entire week.
Yeah.
Have you taken them to the dentist about this issue?
Yes.
Have they had extensive issues at the dentist?
Claire has had to have several teeth pulled.
Do you have any proof of that today?
Not with me today. Okay. Other than if you look in Claire's mouth, so you can see the gaps.
But she's with you a sufficient amount of time as well, correct?
Sorry?
She's with you a sufficient amount of time as well, correct?
Yes.
Has any pediatric dentist told you that her dental issues are, or has, do you, let me try that question. Has Mr. Brown ever told you that he does not brush the children's teeth for a week at a time?
No, I believe he is denied it on several occasions. But when I speak with the girls tell me that they're not brushing their teeth, and you smell their breath when they get home, and it's pretty evident stuff's not getting brushed.
Have the girls ever told? Do you ever ask the children to do something and they don't do it?
Yeah.
Does that make you a bad parent?
I think
No, just yes or no, please answer my question. Asking the children to do something and they not do it, does that make you a bad parent?
No.
If you want to provide an explanation, you can.
Okay. I don't think that makes you a bad parent, but when you know that your child is supposed to be doing something, or you are supposed to be encouraging some kind of behavior or habit, especially when it comes to health and hygiene, and if they're not doing it and you're aware they're not doing it, are you not wrong to not like encourage them to do that? Like if you tell a child to brush their teeth and they say, no, I'm not brushing my teeth, would you not then like maybe take the tablet away or something?
Are you at Mr. Brown's house? Have you ever seen him tell the children to do something?
No, I haven't. No? That's why I'm confused. I don't understand. I don't have an understanding on why a parent can't get their children to brush their teeth.
Do you think it would have any negative impact on the children to live several states away from their father?
Actually, I believe it might have a impact in the better for their education throughout the school year. When they're with Mr. Brown throughout his weekends, there is not much of a schedule. There's no consistency. They stay up however late they want. They're on their tablets for however long they want. It's whatever they can do to kind of like just be placated.
And you said that was on the weekends?
During the school year, he has them every other weekend from Thursday evening to Sunday evening. And so when they're not on any kind of a schedule and he's not doing he didn't do anything from the speech therapist, or if he's not doing any homework with them, they're not having sleep schedules, they're not brushing their teeth, they're not bathing. It takes me several days to get them back in check by the time they get home, trying to get them on a regular sleep schedule, waking up to where they're not grumpy, eating normally. Like it takes me several days just to get them back into the swing of things. So if I'm sending them to Mr. Brown's every other week and then he's counterintuitive in the way that he's parenting them or spending his time with them, then I got to spend several days getting them back on track. If we don't have that gap every other week, and if their education and their schedule is consistent throughout the school year, maybe that might be a little bit better for them.
So you think it would be better for them to go the majority of the school year without having parenting time with their father?
If their father was expressing his parenting time in a healthy way, like why am I having arguments over whether or not my children are bathed? They're little girls. One's about ready to start menstruating. Bathing should not be this big of a problem.
Has Mr. Brown ever told you he does not bathe the children?
No, but when they come home and they say for the entirety of the time that they've been over there that they have not bathed, and it's not just like one off here and there, it's consistently. Yeah, I believe my therapist had every right to call child services.
And so it's your request that based on your inability to secure housing, your inability to secure employment, and Mr. Brown's inability to properly parent, that you should move several hours and several states away with the children and limit access to them during the school year.
I believe that it would be in the best interest of the girls to have two parents who would actually work together for them rather than out of spite for the other person. Is a perfect world. But at the moment, I believe that they should be with the person that, I mean, we're borderline negligent on some of this stuff. And I don't understand how I can sit here and continue to watch this and say, yes, I'm completely comfortable with Mr. Brown taking these girls.
Have you ever filed a petition to modify the parenting plan since it was put in place?
That's what
before
we're
you're
doing
requesting to move the children to Indiana. You have listed numerous issues today that you have with Mr. Brown's parenting, correct?
Right.
Over the last 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. Have you ever filed a petition to modify the parenting plan?
I had not. Coming back into this courtroom again was a major struggle.
So these issues with Mr. Brown's parenting abilities did not raise enough concern with you to file a petition to modify the parenting plan until you wanted to move to Indiana?
No, ma'am. Well, yes and no, I guess. I didn't file another petition. I didn't want to file anything in this courtroom. I didn't want to be back in here. But it's kind of at the point where I knew I needed to file something. I knew that though things had been reported to child services, it didn't feel like, it felt like my children were getting let down. So I knew eventually I was going to have to come in here. I feel like the eviction is what kind of like put my feet to the fire and got me back in this room.
That's all my questions for this witness.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Ms. Brown, do you have any other witnesses you intend to call other
Only
than
if
the
you
children
wish.
that you had suggested?
Only if you wish to hear from them.
All right. You may step down and have a seat at this table.
Your Honor, I do have just a quick procedural question. The individual who is watching the two children today does need to be in Nashville for a doctor's appointment. Is he fine to take the children with him, or do you want the children made available today?
I'm not going to have the children come in as witnesses in this situation. This is an emergency petition to allow for relocation. And I don't think that the children at 6 and 11 should be put through having to testify. Ms. Brown has testified how traumatic it is for her to come into the courtroom. Why would we want to put those children through the same situation? Their preferences about who they want to live with is not an issue because this is only a petition to relocate. It's not a petition to modify.
Is it fine if I let him know that he can leave with the children?
Well, let me indicate to you right now, I do not find that there is a basis for an emergency relocation permission of these children. Instead, what I intend to do is to appoint a guardian ad litem. I think it's important for the children to have someone advocating on their behalf. And for that reason, I'm going to appoint Ms. Doris Salinas, who is a local attorney, to serve as the guardian ad litem. I want Ms. Salinas to have an opportunity to get involved in this case as quickly as possible. And I'm going to suspend this hearing and reset it for July 27th to allow Ms. Salinas, if it's possible for her to be involved in this case.
I do not have any child care that week.
I'm sorry, repeat
I
that.
do not have any child care that week. The 1 week daycare closes.
July 22nd.
It's my music festival day.
Mr. Brown will be in Indiana working on a music festival that day.
In Indiana.
Annual charity music festival
You gotta
for
be
the
kidding.
animal.
You're going to be in Indiana.
Everybody is aware that both of the grandparents, both sides of the extended family.
Maybe he
did
should
that.
move to Indiana. It'll solve a lot of problems. Well, I have July the 16th.
That's fun for me.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
I won't be here either.
That was a criminal trial that I had said.
I think I have something in front of you on the 13th.
What?
I think I have something in front of you on the 13th.
What Thursday? This Thursday?
You said the 13th?
Oh, yes, yeah, that's
Next Monday.
week.
I'm leaving Friday and I'll be out of town for a week.
So you're going to be out of town, leaving town when?
The 10th,
When?
this Friday. My first day back will be on Friday the 17th. I can attempt to find alternate childcare on the 27th because I do want this to be readdressed before school starts. I'm looking at the Cheatham County calendar. August 7th is the first day of half day of school August 10th. Monday is the first full day.
Well, I mean, I've given you all my available days, and all of you have some issue. I have available the 13th.
Would it be
Which
possible for me to participate by Zoom on the 27th?
Yeah, we can allow you to participate by Zoom. Is that the day you said you have no childcare?
I do. That's correct. I can.
I could do Zoom too.
I have a younger neighbor who can be in the home and help.
Well, we can reset it for the 27th. I just want to get Ms. Salinas involved in it to give her an opportunity to speak to the children and talk with them as quickly as possible before we then reconsider what the situation should be. I am simply on an emergency basis. I'm not granting the request to relocate, but the relocation itself would necessarily be considered by the court again on the 27th after the guardian ad litem has an opportunity to meet with the children. I'm concerned about your lack of stability, your lack of a job. I know this situation with your grandmother is by you considered to be a job, but what I'm hearing from your testimony so far has been a considerable amount of instability in your housing, instability in your work, and there's a history in this situation, and I know you have mental health issues that have been prevalent in this case for many years. So I'd like to get the guardian ad litem involved and have their input before we make a final decision on these things. All right. Then this case will be reset for the 27th at 9 o'clock.
Do you want me to draw an order?
Yes, but I'm going to have the clerk go ahead and notify Ms. Salinas. She may reach out to both of you to arrange to meet with the children, depending on where they are. Ms. Roberts and Ms. Stevens, you have the last case, I think, then. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And we're going to break for lunch, but any idea of the length of time that you're expecting? Ms. Stevens has stepped out.
Yeah. Can we meet halfway? No.
Sorry, Judge.
Your Honor, this is a divorce matter that was filed. Ms. Stevens filed it on behalf of her client. I filed a response. We both have pendente light matters. There's an underlying criminal matter against Ms. Stevens'
Ms. Stevens' client, Judge.
client. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, not against her. Ms. Stevens' client on her side that there's her client has been charged with aggravated domestic assault. On one note, before you break for lunch, I have filed today an order of protection. There's currently bond conditions in effect, but given the nature of the criminal proceedings, I did go forward and file an order of protection. Because there's bond conditions, I'm not necessarily seeking an ex parte order at this point in time, but I do want to get that set within a reasonable amount of time. And the reason I bring that up at this juncture is that I know Your Honor's given the dates to do it, and there's going to be some testimony, I assume, that's going to go up today. So I didn't know whether or not, you had a preference to go on and set the order of protection hearing for one of your July dates that are remaining, or whether you're okay with us maybe getting an August date. I don't know.
I don't care. I mean, whatever is your preference.
Okay.
If it's an order of protection that needs to be heard today, then we'll.
It's not, we're not seeking, because there are bond conditions, if there's not an emergent necessity to get an ex parte order at this point in time. So we just need to set it. I told Ms. Stevens we would check and just get a mutually
Well,
convenient.
y'all talk amongst yourselves and
Okay.
figure out which day. I don't care. I've given out the days the remaining days I have for this month are Thursday, the 9th,
And the 13th.
the 13th on Monday, and the 27th. Is that correct?
Well, given the fact that the 9th is short, I'm here on the 9th, but I don't know if that's too short a notice for counsel. And then the 13th, I have that contested hearing and I have to leave early. So I wouldn't want to have everybody come and then us not get to it. So
Well, Judge, the 13th and 27th, I'm unavailable, and the 9th, I have a Zoom hearing at 09.
I don't mind doing I think August 10th and the 24th are the next available dates.
And I'm in
Who do y'all have coming in? Okay. I guess I would have to get permission to see if he would hear it. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll work on it. I just wanted to let you know that was the situation, that we do have that order of protection, but it's not for hearing today. It was just filed.
Okay, so what we have for hearing today are the motions that you motion for Penn-Daniel support, motion for possession of the marital residence, division of marital debt. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there children involved?
No, Your Honor, there's not children. My client will soon be 76 in September. Mrs. Gutzman is I believe she's 70, 71, both retired. There was a incident. There's bond conditions. There's a no contact order where the wife can have no contact. So from my standpoint, I filed my motions just as a auxiliary matter. I want my client to be granted possession of the home, which again, based on the testimony, and then on the division of marital debts, the only thing I'm requesting in that respect is that he's going to maintain all of the household expenses. There's a mortgage, utilities, taxes, insurance, maintenance, upkeep, things such as that. And then we just want to reserve the issue of any credit that he might get for that for the final hearing, because he is maintaining all of those expenses. So that's the sum and substance of my request in my petition on why I'm filing my motions. I think counsel, they're seeking some monetary award from my client that is contested.
All right. Well, we will stand in recess for lunch until 1 o'clock.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.
Today's courtroom showed what a fair and responsible judge looks like. Instead of allowing endless delays, the judge demanded accountability from everyone involved. When crucial evidence was still missing, he questioned the prosecution, ordered immediate action, and made it clear that justice cannot wait forever. At the same time, he remained respectful, gave both sides a chance to explain, and ensured the defendant's legal rights were fully protected. His firm leadership, patience, and commitment to due process kept the courtroom focused on fairness rather than excuses. This hearing is a powerful example of a judge working tirelessly to make sure justice is served.
If you have a seat then, Ms. Knight, you may make your opening statement. So.
You've heard this request for mother to relocate out of state at least on 2 other occasions. At the beginning of the divorce in 2020, mother wanted to move to Oklahoma. This court denied that. Then in 2023, you denied mother's request to move 7 or 8 hours away with the children to Indiana at that time. Father wasn't even having that much parenting time with the children then. Over the last 3 years, he has a set schedule, a routine. He's heavily involved in their lives. And now, because mother's refusal to maintain employment, she's faced several evictions. She now wants to move back to Indiana and take the children again 7 or 8 hours away from father, preventing him from being a constant figure in their life. I have no doubt if the court allows mother to move, father would still receive parenting time, but simply based on the distance between the two, it wouldn't be an every week, every other week situation that these children have grown accustomed to. This is once again mother trying to alienate father from these children.
Ms. Squires, you may come. Are you your sole witness, or do you have other witnesses?
Your Honor, at the last hearing, I did ask that both Allison and Claire Brown be present. Are they available? And I wasn't sure if Your Honor would like to speak to them or not, so I had asked.
How old are these children?
Allison Brown is 11 years old, and Claire Brown is 6 years old.
Certainly, a 6-year-old is not going to be a witness that this court is going to allow to be put on the witness stand. The 11-year-old is discretionary with the court, but I'm going to hear your proof first before I make any determination. The request that you made about having the children present was in front of a different judge, and I don't know that I will want to hear from the children as well. So,
just so the court is aware, I objected to the children being present at an ex parte hearing. If the court wants to have a final hearing and feels it appropriate to talk to the children, they can be made available. The children are local in town today, as somebody's caring for them and can bring them in if it's
Right.
necessary.
Well, this is a hearing on your ex parte petition for relocation on an emergency basis. So if you want to come around and testify, I'll be glad to hear it.
Would you like to go to that chair?
You'll come around here. And you will face our clerk, raise your right hand, and be placed under oath.
Swear to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, have a seat, please. Ms. Squires, I know you've been through many court proceedings. You understand this is your opportunity to present to me your testimony about why you believe that it's in the best interest of your children and why you are requesting this emergency ex parte. It's no longer ex parte, but your emergency request to relocate.
Yes, Your Honor.
Make sure that you're close to that microphone so that, hold on just a second. I'm going to see if I can make this a little easier for you. Ms. Knight, can you see on the screen?
I can, but I can also see the witness in person.
Okay, can see the
I can.
Right. All right, Ms. Squires.
All right. So as I've provided several documents in the petition, words exchanged between past landlords to show that there were proceedings taken towards an eviction. I had signed a lease back in 24 and went through that for a year. And unfortunately, when I renewed, I was not able to do that without a roommate. And that unfortunately did not pan out. The landlord proceeded with eviction, and I was able to settle with him out of court so long as I vacated the premises. I then moved in with a neighbor for the remainder of the school year. I was hoping that was going to be a longer situation. We had agreed on a payment plan of $450 a month. We didn't have any kind of a written agreement. It was a verbal agreement. And it is my belief that she wanted to be getting more than $450 a month. And that's why the lease was terminated, or the agreement was terminated, the month to month verbal agreement that we had. She did keep my last month's rent. And I was unemployed at the time. So I had looked into possibly moving back up to Indiana because my grandmother does have a country home with multiple bedrooms to where the girls would be able to each have their own room. We would be closer to family where they could play with their cousins. Mr. Brown's grandfather is also up there. And then also with my grandmother, it's not just a memory issue with her. She's also had multiple eye surgeries, so she needs help preparing meals, traveling, different things. So we've prepared a rental agreement that started from June 3rd of 2026 until May 30th of 2027, and I have copies. If
You would tender that to our bailiff and allow him to show that to Ms. Knight.
And so this shows that
Is that the same copy that you have?
the same copy for you as,
If you want to just hand it to me.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. And on the first page, if you go down to rent, it says tenant shall provide the following assistance to the landlord in lieu of a dollar
This is your
amount.
grandmother?
Yes, this is to show proof that I was able to establish residency up there and have a home that would be suitable for the girls.
Okay.
So being able to help her out with the care of that property in lieu of rent is going to be a huge advantage for us. And then with the caretaking, it is going to take a little bit of time to get that established. She'll have to have a doctor's appointment as we go through all of that. But it has so we would be applying for me to be her live-in caretaker. It would go through her insurance. They would compensate me based on the level of care that they deem that she would need. I can't speak as to what level they would do. I'm not a doctor, but that would at least help secure employment and then training for future employment. So these are the plans that I've been able to prepare as something sustainable, because we've been going on now several years to where I've been kind of going back and forth on housing. And we need something more stable. In order, I mean, we can't keep losing places like this. It's not that great for the girls or I. So this would be an opportunity for us to have that stability, take some of the stress and the wonder off of what's going to happen when one lease ends. And then I had every intention of coming in here, when I wrote my petition, I'm writing things such as the children go with Mr. Brown and Mr. Brown brushes their teeth every night, or Mr. Brown is to bathe the children every other night, or Mr. Brown is to give the children prescribed medication. I feel like these are very basic things that we should be able to come to an agreement with. I don't understand why we're still having kickback with that. I've had times to where the girls come home and the hair is so tangled that I've almost had to cut it out. There were times several years ago to where they were coming home with UTIs because they were not being bathed for the entire week that they were with Mr. Brown, or for the whole weekend when they were with Mr. Brown. We'd had multiple different conversations, and it just felt very much like his house, his rules. I don't get to know anything that happens over there. I don't have any say in it. When it came to Clara being smaller, I remember our child is in like the first percentile of growth. She's been that way about since she was born. I had a condition called placenta previa, which did affect her growth weight. And it was always kind of wondered whether or not she'd have to have a growth hormone. Her pediatrician recommended that we put her on an appetite stimulant for a while to see how she would react to that. She was on the medication for a while, and as we started approaching longer, all of a sudden I started hearing from Mr. Brown and my daughters that Clara no longer needed her medication. And when I asked why, I was told that was because her appetite is fine over at Mr. Brown's house. And I'm going to go ahead and I have a picture of the bottle of the prescription. There's 2 copies here. So it's an appetite stimulant. It comes in a liquid form. She gets 5 milligrams every evening. It's supposed to be taken in the evening because it can make you tired. It is not something that you take and it instantly stimulates your appetite. It's something that you have to be on consistently in order for it to have effect. So when she's been on the medication with me for a whole week, of course her appetite's working just fine over at Mr. Brown's. But by the time she's over there for a week and she comes back, I'm noticing a significant difference in what she's consuming at the beginning of the week versus the end of the week. And then on Friday, June 12th, was a week that the girls were coming to me. And I've been sending the medication to Mr. Brown, even though I'm fully aware he is not providing it to Clara. I had texted Mr. Brown that Friday and asked him not to forget Clara's medication. He had handed me some bags at the exchange. I didn't realize until we were on our way back to Indiana that he had not provided the medication. I tried to reach back out to him when I found out I would not be able to fill the prescription in Indiana. I did not receive any kind of a response from that, which is fairly typical when it comes to a lot of medical questions, or like if I ask him if he wants to attend an IEP meeting, it's almost surprising when I do get responses on.
Well, let me interrupt you and ask you this question. Where are you presently living?
I am presently living at my grandmother's house in Butler. Yes, sir.
And how long have you lived there?
Since June 3rd.
All right. So since you signed this agreement.
Yes,
and
sir.
you want this agreement to be made an exhibit to this hearing, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Be marked as Exhibit 1.
No objection.
And from June 3rd, when you moved to your grandmother's house, over the 30 days that you've been there, where are the children?
We have been going back and forth every Friday. I've been driving down and picking them up and then driving back. So I'm driving.
And that's pursuant to the prior order, which gave you alternating weeks during the summer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. That clarifies it for me. Thank you. Go ahead, mark these. I'm marking this photograph of the appetite enhancer, or whatever you want to call it.
No objection.
Okay.
As the next exhibit, along with the text message.
Mm-hmm.
As
those two
a collective 2 or 2 and 3?
collective 2. All right. Sorry, Ms. Squires. Go ahead.
Oh,
Now,
no,
you've signed this agreement as Shelby Brown. Are you going by Shelby Brown or Shelby Squires?
it depends on if you're asking the state or Social Security, Your Honor. State of Tennessee has me
I'm
as
talking about here in this courtroom. How do you want to be addressed?
Shelby Brown is just fine.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, Your Honor. Thank you. I apologize. I do also have text that I had received on Thursday, June 4th. This was the day after we had just had court. This was the day just before we had court. I was working to, when I had initially filed the petition, I had a misunderstanding. I had believed that the order was signed, especially when I seen Miss Knight give her notice of appearance. I just assumed that the order had been approved and that's what we were waiting for on this hearing. I didn't understand that it had been denied. So when I was made aware of that and I came back into town for the hearing, I had reached out to Mr. Brown and told him that I was back in town, tried to meet with him to get the girls, and down at 1:39 p.m., he had agreed to give her lunch, but then he turned around and said that she did not eat. So He claims that she's eating just fine during his time, but that is clearly not always the case. And then, now with, in my petition, I did make the court aware that their child services is investigating currently. Our history with child services began back in either 2020. I know it was Maxie that ended up being the first person to call in child services on us. I believe Mr. Brown was investigated at that time for child endangerment, and I was investigated for failure to protect because I had not contacted authorities.
When was this?
This was in, I believe, 2020 when we had first came in and put another order of protection. It was in front of
And
Maxie.
you understand that
And do you think your mental health is going to miraculously be much better in Indiana that allows you to hold down stable employment?
that's now evidence that already been heard by the court and already been considered in making the prior rulings. So what we're talking about now is what has happened since the last order went down in this case
Yes,
that
sir.
would justify you being granted the extraordinary remedy of moving to the state of Indiana and taking the children with you.
Okay. Well, it would get into with child services being involved.
In 2020,
They're currently involved as well. I was investigated for failure to protect back then. That was denied. Then again, in I'll just skip to here recently. I apologize. In December of this year, my therapist through Centerstone,
December of 2025.
25, yes, sir. My therapist decided to go ahead and make a call into child services based on some things that she had heard during one of our therapy sessions. I have been discussing the lack of hygiene of the girls when they come back into my care, them coming in clothes 2 years, 2 sizes small, the knots in the hair, the not bathing, the children not brushing their teeth for the entire time that they're over there. And I had just gotten this woman as my therapist. She was newer, and I think maybe, I don't know if maybe that's why she called. But I mean, everybody in the state of Tennessee is a mandated reporter. So when you hear something about that, I do feel like you are supposed to call, and I was glad that she did. But it's been since December, and child services still has not been updating me on many of these things. They ended up actually losing our case for several months and failed to complete a transfer order to Cheatham County, so that way this county could continue their investigation into the accusations against Mr. Brown. And I still have not received an update from them. They have been made aware of the Clara Brown not receiving her medication. And it is my understanding that they have performed a home inspection on Mr. Brown. And I did put a stipulation into the petition, or the ex parte order, that should child services deem it necessary to charge Mr. Brown with anything, that the children should, instead of being with him, come to Indiana with me immediately. And I'm wondering, like, we're going to have to switch over the insurance. We're going to have to switch over the school up to Indiana. But if I can't get basic communication about if we're going to the eye doctor or getting medication to my youngest child, I'm kind of at a loss on what the best option is going to be going forward for this.
Well, is there any other evidence you want to have the court consider regarding your request?
Yes, in the petition, there is a doctor's note from Mark Their Words Therapy. Oh, I apologize. I think I do. I'm sorry. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to. Thank you. This is the answers. I apologize. I do not, I'm not quite sure where the form is. With the petition, it was, there's two different forms of therapy that the children have been receiving. Clara Brown, the 6-year-old, she's been receiving speech therapy services from Mark Their Words Therapy. She received those for about 1.5 years. A year before she started school, and then about halfway through the school year, she was receiving those services in addition to speech therapy through the school. With Mark Their Words, their program, the way that it's set up is you go in for a set schedule for a set amount of time. For Clara, it was deemed that she should have 3 sessions a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I was able to get her to those appointments during my parenting time, but when Mr. Brown was getting the children every other Friday throughout the school year, he was refusing to make appointments for her speech therapy. I had offered to drive her. I had offered, but Zoom was an option that could have been established. But I don't know if it was because he did not like that she was withheld from kindergarten, that he just decided that this was not something that she needed to have, or what the reasoning was. But I do believe that if my daughter had had participation from both of her parents, that she would have been better prepared to go into kindergarten. She has an extreme phonological disorder, which means her speech, the best way I can describe it is that it's like dyslexia with sounds. Instead of reading and things are flip-flopped, it's when she's speaking, her sounds come out different. Like, it took her until 6 years old to be able to say ketchup properly. So that causes not just issues with her education and being able to properly read and form her phonics right, but it also causes social barriers with her making friends, or feeling like she's not enough when she's the only kid in the room that's not being understood. So I don't believe it was just her education that suffered. I believe it was socially. That was something that that she lives with. And I know she's sick, so as far as witnessing to anything, even if you could just hear her speak, just to hear her vocabulary, you might get an understanding on why I felt it was best to pursue the speech therapy the first year rather than putting her straight into kindergarten. I didn't want her to be so frustrated that first year that she just gave up on school. And then the other type of therapy that our children are receiving, Allison Brown, our 11-year-old, has anxiety disorder, and Claire Brown is diagnosed with ADHD. They both see Molly Fields, who is a Centerstone-based therapist. She's been the school therapist out of the Montgomery County schools that we've been able to get into. They receive sessions about a couple times a month for various things. It took a while to get Mr. Brown to participate in that, but he has started making appointments this summer. And I have appreciated that greatly. And I will say, if the motion is granted for us to be able to go up to Indiana, Centerstone does also practice in Indiana. That is one of their other states. So those services would be able to switch over. And I believe that's what I have.
Ms. Knight, you may cross-examine.
And I'm sorry, pardon me for asking. You said you wanted to go by Miss Brown. Okay. Miss Brown, you mentioned you've once again come into some housing issues. Since we were in court last on October 2023, how many different residences have you had?
Since 23, my grandma's is now number 3.
Did you live with Carol Hinger?
Carol Henniger at 1532 apartment 4, which is where I later signed a 24-month lease for. She had moved out of the apartment and I took over the next year.
And when did you move out of that residence?
That was oh gosh. Let's say March 11th of this year. And I moved in the same building, but unit 6, and I stayed there until May 20th.
So since 23, you've been in the same apartment complex?
Until I moved to Indiana, yeah.
Okay. So there wasn't an instance in 2024 when you lost your housing and you had to ask father if the children could stay with him?
That was right before I had moved in with Carol Henniger.
And you didn't live with her in 2023?
I don't remember the exact date that I moved in with Carol Henniger. I lived in a domestic violence shelter for about 1.5 years, and then I had an apartment for a year in Millertown. And then that was when I had contacted Mr. Brown because I was concerned that I wasn't going to be able to keep a roof over their house or over their heads. And then Carol had offered to allow us to move in with her, and she had been the director of the domestic violence shelter I'd stayed in, so I'd built a relationship and felt that I could trust that situation.
And is that an address that you gave to father, or did you withhold that address from the father?
At the time, I was in the state of Tennessee's address confidentiality program, Safe at Home, and I was in that program from 2020 to 2024. It is not a housing assistance program. It is strictly to hide the address of victims.
Right. So you said you moved into Miss Henniger's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
She left and you stayed there until March of 2026.
Yes. And I had ended up, I had decided not to renew my participation in the Safe at Home program because I knew Mr. Brown, not knowing where his children were, was a point of contention, and I was hoping to just ease tensions. That's why I withdrew or didn't renew my presence in the program.
So in October of 2024, did you sign a new lease?
I do believe that's when I signed a lease after Carol moved out.
And did your father co-sign that with you?
Yes.
And then did you re-sign that lease at any other point?
I did either. I'm trying to remember the dates that I had signed it. I had signed again without my father. I had a previous partner that was living with me, and he had signed on to the lease. I want to say that might have been October, November 25. If I had provided that info, if you could correct me on that date.
And then you moved out in March of this year from that apartment?
Yeah.
And you moved into, you said, your neighbor's apartment.
Yeah, I'd had a neighbor, and we thought we were going to be able to make that work.
How many bedrooms was that apartment?
2.
Where were you and the children sleeping?
We were in one room.
Did you think that was a good option for long term?
Well, it was better than a car.
And then you moved to Indiana in early June of this year.
Yes.
When is the last time that you had stable housing?
Since I've had stable housing, that year that I had signed the lease, that was about the last time I was not struggling to pay rent.
When was the last time you were employed?
Currently running a little bit of self-employment. I was able to bring in, let's see.
Can you explain what that employment is before you explain the income, please?
Sure. I still need to file for the business license, but I'm doing just various goods and services. I've got a couple of artwares that I do, different sun catchers, and then I just offer labor. Somebody needs somebody on the farm to work, or you need a laborer, I'll jump in.
When did you begin doing this self-employment for goods and services?
I had attempted to last year, but I wasn't able to really get it off of the ground. I put more effort into it when I went back up to Indiana. I had more. It's a lot easier to sell goods when you know some people in the community. Just from my parents had known a couple people. My grandmother, just having different contacts throughout the church, just kind of made it a little bit easier to get my foot in the door.
When is the last time you had a traditional employment?
Traditional employment, I did delivery driving for about a year. That was after Firehouse Subs.
Okay. Well, tell me about your delivery driving. Who were you driving for?
I did a combination. I had multiple different apps, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and I would drive for whoever was running the better promotion.
Okay. How much were you earning then?
It varied. On a really good weekend night, I might be able to bring in 150
per night.
Yeah, and I mean it varies some on the take home. Like that may have been what the app says you paid out, but that doesn't take into calculation the gas expenses and everything. So, and after I ended up taking the cost of everything, I ended up being in the negative because I ended up having car problems, lost the car. So that job actually cost me.
How many hours per week were you doing that job? Approximately.
Probably 25, 30.
And how long did you do that job?
A little over a year. I want to say that car blew. I want to say that car blew right before 25. I want to say it was December of 24. Yeah, I think it was 24.
Did you earn any income in 2025?
I had money from donating plasma, but I was told that wasn't a taxable income.
How did you support yourself and the children in 2025?
I had different family members that were helping out. I hit different food drives, was doing that. We had cut back down on rent to the $450.
When did you work at Firehouse Subs? You mentioned that employment. Was that before or after the delivery driving?
Before.
How long did you work there?
I don't think it was quite a year.
How much did you earn there?
I want to say that was around, I don't remember the exact amount, but I want to say it was around 11 an hour.
Do you know approximately how long you would have been working, or how many hours per week you were working?
It varied, but that was around, I think I was only getting like 2 or 3 nights, maybe 20 hours a week.
I'm going to pass you something.
Just one for the witness at this point. Sprint, I want you to look at this document and tell me if you recognize this document.
Looks like supplemental response.
Okay. Flip through. Are these discovery responses that you provided to me previously?
Looks like it.
Okay. Would this have been during Mr. Brown's previous petition to modify the parenting plan in 2024?
I believe so.
Okay. If you flip to page 2, there's a question that states to please list all employment you've had since the October 5th, 2023 hearing.
Mhm.
Do you see that question?
Yep.
Okay. And then flip to page 3. Do you see your answers there?
The Firehouse Subs, Uber Eats, and DoorDash.
Okay. So the question was, since the last hearing in October 2023, please state all of your employment. And you said Firehouse, Uber Eats, and DoorDash. That was all the employment you had over the last year, correct? At the time you answered these.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. And why did you leave Firehouse Subs?
I ended up falling for a scam.
What is the reason that you gave in your discovery responses as to why you left Firehouse Subs?
Let's see.
It's on the top of page 3.
Found better paying work.
You found better paying work. So you left one job for better paying work.
Yeah, the Uber Eats and DoorDash was better paying.
And you said And when did you begin Uber Eats and DoorDash?
Looks like August of 24.
And did earlier did you testify that your car blew before 25? Was that your testimony earlier?
The car would have been December of 24.
Okay. So did you stop working Uber Eats in December and DoorDash in December of 24?
That's I believe so, because I mean, when the car blew, that's when I did it, and it wasn't this past December, so it wasn't December of 26. It would have been December, or not December of 25. It would have been December of 24 when that car blew, because I've only had this green car for a year. So
you've had this new car for a year.
Yeah.
And in that last year, have you obtained any other employment other than attempting to sell some goods you've made? Prior to moving to Indiana. Any employment in Tennessee?
I've had actually applied through the IPS program through Centerstone. I believe I have that flyer over there, though I have only got one copy of it. The IPS program is a program ran through Centerstone specifically to help people with mental health disabilities get back into the workforce. They had somebody that was supposed to run the program. I was on the list for like 4 or 5 months before we finally got the ball rolling. And when they finally had started getting my employment lined up to help me with employment, that was when I lost my apartment and then ended up going up to Indiana.
So that program's to help people with mental health disabilities get back into the workforce?
Yes.
You're asking this court to allow you to move 7 or 8 hours away, several states away with your children and take them away from their father, correct?
Yes.
Based on your inability to secure stable housing and your inability to obtain employment. Is that correct?
In part, yes.
But you've not even made any efforts other than applying with the program. Have you put any applications in at any place of employment in the last year and a half?
Yes, I've applied to Lowe's. I've applied to Walmart. I have several other places I've employed to. I would have to get that list for you, and we can go over that in Discovery if you'd like. So I have made several attempts to gain employment, and the mental health disability that I have is due to repeated mental stress and abuse that I incurred throughout the relationship with Mr. Brown, and then dealing with trying to co-parent with him after the fact. So yeah, I know it doesn't look great that I haven't worked that much, but I've still stuck with my therapy. I've still gotten sober, and I'm still at least trying to gain employment through means on my own, and then also applying with people that are willing to help me gain employment.
A great judge is measured not by how loud they speak, but by how firmly they protect justice. In this hearing, the judge refused to let delays and missing evidence stand in the way of a fair trial. He held both the prosecution and the defense accountable while ensuring every legal right was respected. Even when frustration was visible, he remained professional, patient, and focused on reaching the truth. His leadership kept the courtroom organized and reminded everyone that justice requires preparation, honesty, and responsibility.